Tonight, a woman killed as gale force winds lash Victoria. Tens of thousands without power after trees crashed onto homes and cars. A driver loses her life after her car careered onto the wrong side of the road. Donald Trump insists he's going nowhere despite his hemorrhaging support. 16 minutes to the airport by monorail, but the Premier has his doubts. And drama on the mountain as Will Davison wins Bathurst.
This is 9 News with Alicia Loxley.
Good evening. A woman in her 50s has died after a tree fell onto her house in gale force winds. Thousands across the state are tonight without power and homes have been destroyed. Dougal Beattie begins our coverage.
Wild wind gusts of up to 120 kilometres an hour blasted the state.
Not just about your safety, as important as that is, but if you make the right decisions, then you avoid members of our emergency services having to put themselves in harm's way.
And Dougal joins me now live. Dougal, when are conditions expected to ease?
Well, Alicia, the good news is the wild wind should only be here for a couple more hours. There's a cold front approaching from the west of the state, and that should arrive in Melbourne around 8 o'clock tonight. Alicia?
All right, Dougal, thank you. Well, now to the latest on homes affected by the power outages. Brett McLeod is live at the State Control Centre. Brett, it is a long night ahead for repair crews.
It is, and they've been busy already. We heard earlier that figure of 120,000 homes without power. That shot up to 145,000. Now it's down to 102,000. So it shows just how quickly things are changing. There it is, Alicia. You can see another busy time ahead for our rescue workers.
Indeed. All right, Brett, thank you very much. A driver has lost her life after a car veered onto the wrong side of the Western Freeway and slammed head-on into a four-wheel drive. Police say the woman, who was travelling alone, died at the scene in Hopetoun Park near Bacchus Marsh. The male driver of the other vehicle was rushed to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. A second man and 2 children in the car were also taken to hospital but escaped injury. The cause of the smash is being investigated. A 34-year-old man is recovering in hospital after he was dumped in Cranbourne with a gunshot wound. Investigators say he was hit in the lower leg before being driven to Lurline Street and left on the side of the road around 6:30 last night. He was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police are urging anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers. Donald Trump says he will never drop out of the race for the White House, despite his campaign lurching from one crisis to the next. Senior Republicans are deserting him as fresh recordings emerge of his crude and sexist comments about women. More from Laura Turner.
Just a month out from the election and Donald Trump emerged from Trump Tower today amid extraordinary scandal. In St Louis, Laura Turner, 9 News.
And we'll have live coverage of the second presidential debate here on 9 from midday tomorrow. Premier Daniel Andrews has rejected a proposal for a monorail-style link from the city to Melbourne Airport. The private consortium behind it says it could be built faster and more cheaply than a future traditional rail route. James Talia reports.
The project's proponents say it would sit above the Tullamarine Freeway. James Talia, 9 News.
Politicians are returning to Canberra for a week set to be dominated by the same-sex marriage plebiscite. But overshadowing that for now, confirmation Kevin Rudd received assistance from Africa in his bid to run for the United Nations. Here's Joel Dry.
It's an African nation better known for diamonds than diplomacy. Joel Dry, 9 News.
Tourism operators are counting the cost of the floods in Victoria's northeast. The water is now receding in some towns as others anxiously wait for the Murray River to peak. Jonathan Kersley has today's developments.
It's water as far as the eye can see. The surging Murray River has invaded Craig and Clare Allen's holiday park. It's been shut for 3 weeks. Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
Today's wild winds didn't deter thousands of cyclists from pedalling their way in a ride around the bay. As Justine Conway discovered, some of the youngest riders led the charge to raise money for disadvantaged children.
After covering tens of kilometres on the back of a bike, there's no place quite like the finish line.
Look, we've got a medal.
Justine Conway, 9 News.
And now for a look ahead at the day's sport, here's Corey Norris.
Thanks, Alicia. Coming up later, we're live as the clubs gear up for the start of the trade period. Also, Clarko's heartfelt farewell to Bradley Hill.
I love you like a son, and there's plenty that love you like a brother and a cousin over there in that corner.
A young star sets himself for top pickings at the draft. Massive drama in the closing laps at Bathurst.
But look at this, look at that. No, they're all gone! They're all gone!
while Vettel loses his cool in Japan. Kyrgios claims his biggest trophy and dedicates it to his mum. Melbourne turns on a warm welcome for the Socceroos. The Diamonds outclass their rivals from across the ditch, and the Hawthorn Premiership star tackling a new sport. We'll explain that a little later.
All right, look forward to it, Corey. Thank you. Next in Melbourne's 9 News, alarm over the bizarre clown hunting craze that spread to Melbourne. A gunman on the run after shooting dead 2 California police officers. A would-be bomber's secret arsenal leaves Germany on edge. And Joe Hall meets the Flemington veterans saddling up for another Cup Carnival.
Melbourne buses, public transport's weakest link. First on 9 News, while some routes are overcrowded,
it's horrendous.
Others are running on empty.
It's done its entire run without picking up a single passenger.
The plan to fix the network for good
is not rocket science. Frequency, frequency, frequency.
Tomorrow at 6.
A disturbing trend popular in America and Britain where people dress as clowns in order to scare strangers appears to have spread to Melbourne. Videos have appeared on social media showing pranksters pretending to assault them. Police have previously warned intimidating, threatening or antisocial behaviour will not be tolerated. Hurricane Matthew has slammed into America's southeast despite being downgraded to a Category 1 storm. As millions of people begin the heartbreaking task of cleaning up, forecasters are warning the danger isn't over yet. Robert Penfold has the latest.
That's wild.
The hurricane had moved on, and at last the sun broke through in Florida, shining a bright light on millions of dollars worth of storm damage. In Florida, Robert Penfold, 9 News.
2 police officers have been shot dead in California while responding to a domestic disturbance. Jose Vega, a 35-year veteran, and new mother Leslie Zerobny were killed and a 3rd colleague was injured after a man they were questioning suddenly pulled out a gun and opened fire. The victims died en route to hospital while the surviving unnamed officer is expected to make a full recovery. The gunman remains on the run. German police are hunting a Syrian man feared to be planning a bomb attack after explosives were found during a raid on his apartment. Hundreds of officers, including specialist commandos, have combed the area in the hunt for 22-year-old Jaber al-Bakr. 3 people known to him have been detained. With the Melbourne Cup Carnival fast approaching, Flemington is about to become the centre of attention. Its staff are gearing up for the busiest time of the year, including an army of spring racing veterans, and Joe Hall explains.
84-year-old Alan Alexander is eyeing off his 15th Cup Carnival.
I'm very, very lucky to have this position.
Alan works the turnstiles, welcoming racegoers to the world-famous course. Joe Hall, 9 News.
Well, time now for an update on the weather with Justine Conway, and it was really all about the wind today, Justine.
Yes, it was, Alicia, and those wind gusts were extraordinary. They reached more than 100 kilometres an hour right across the city, and it's not often we see winds of this magnitude, particularly during the day. In fact, the last time we saw a weather event anything like this was back in April 2008. Today's winds were northerlies, so they were quite warm, and we reached a maximum of 22 degrees this afternoon. While conditions are easing now, showers are moving into the city and they'll be with us until around midnight, and that's when things will start to get back to normal. But the cold front that brought these winds won't just be leaving us with a clean up. There's some very cold air behind it, so temperatures are set to plummet, Alicia.
All right, we'll see you soon, Justine. Thank you. In the news ahead, hundreds of mourners massacred at a funeral in Yemen. Robert Penfold joins the Top Guns testing Australia's new fighter jet, and the Navy SEAL toughening up the AFL's stars of the future. The covers have been lifted on the RAAF's controversial new multi-billion-dollar fighter jet, the F-35. The aircraft had been shrouded in secrecy, but Robert Penfold's been given a close-up look ahead of its arrival in Australia.
Here it is in all its $100 million glory. At Luke Air Force Base in Arizona, Robert Penfold, 9 News.
At least 140 people have been killed and more than 500 injured in airstrikes targeting a funeral in Yemen. A ceremony was being held for the father of the acting Interior Minister when 2 bombs detonated near the hall, causing mourners to flee the venue. A 3rd bomb hit the venue directly. Saudi Arabia is believed responsible, however, it has denied involvement. Some future AFL stars have been given training tips from someone who knows all about endurance, a former US Navy SEAL. Jeff Nichols gave the draftees advice on their physical and mental toughness. Brett McLeod has more.
These are the young stars hoping to join football's elite. They're meeting the man who is part of the US military's elite, the Navy SEALs. Brett McLeod, 9 News.
Corey Norris returns now with all the day's sport.
Thanks, Alicia. The AFL trade period is about to heat up. We'll cross live for the latest. Also, Clarko gets all deep and meaningful as he farewells a favourite. A dramatic finish at Mount Panorama as Holden rules Bathurst. Nick Kyrgios claims another career highlight in Japan. And the retired AFL hardman putting his talents to good use. Travis Cloke is expected to officially become a Bulldog when the AFL's trade period gets underway tomorrow. Live to Mark McGugan. Mark, Cloke is just one of the deals to watch on what's certain to be a busy opening day.
Good evening, Corey. Yes, he is. With the AFL Combine now all wrapped up, club recruiters and list managers will turn their attention to that trade period. All 18 clubs set to meet at Etihad Stadium tomorrow.
Great stuff. Thanks, Mark. Well, Sandringham Dragons' Andrew McGrath has enhanced his chances of being the #1 pick at next month's draft after impressing on the final day of the draft combine at Etihad Stadium. McGrath met with Essendon today, who at this stage hold the coveted top pick.
It does come with a bit of responsibility and obviously entails quite a good player behind the pick. So I think there's one of 7 that could probably go in that pick this year, and all Worthing.
The combine wrapped up with a gruelling 3-kilometre time trial, which left some a little worse for wear. Well, Holden's Will Davison and Jonathan Webb have claimed a dramatic Bathurst 1000 win. The pair hit the lead late in the race following a controversial 3-way crash involving Jamie Whincup. Luke Duffy has the highlights.
10 years after his death, the supercars paid tribute to their very best. The drivers of today parading the former cars of Peter Brock. Luke Duffy, 9 News.
Nick Kyrgios has claimed one of the biggest wins of his career, defeating David Goffin in the Japan Open. Goffin was unrelenting to claim the first set 6-4 with some breathtaking shots.
Excellent reactions from Goffin. He had no right to win that point.
But Kyrgios flexed his muscles in the final 2 sets to claim his 3rd ATP singles title.
I want to thank my new team. Martin, I couldn't have done this without you. You know, you've helped me so much this week, and I'm sure you're going to be many tournaments more to come with you and I, so I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, Mum, as well. You did well.
The 21-year-old is the youngest ever winner of the tournament. Well, the Socceroos say they're not fearful of taking on Japan ahead of Tuesday's World Cup qualifier at Etihad Stadium. A healthy crowd of diehards turned out to see Ange Postecoglou's men put through their paces in preparation for the clash with their biggest Asian rivals.
We're not fearful. We're very confident in our own abilities. We're the champions of Asia, so I'm sure it'll be, hopefully a good result for us.
You can catch that live coverage of that match on 9 Go from 7:30 Tuesday night. Nico Rosberg has moved a step closer to clinching the F1 world title after victory in today's Japanese Grand Prix. That starts Sunday scoreboard. Nico Rosberg made the most of pole position, blasting to the front. He'd avoid any of the mid-pack drama. The same couldn't be said for a hot-headed Sebastian Vettel. Alicia, I don't understand it, but Campbell looks like he's having a bit of fun.
He certainly does. All right, Corey, thanks very much for that. Well, still to come tonight, a 90-year-old man finally completes his mission to walk around Australia. Look out, Neil Mitchell, a former premier, is taking over the radio waves. And some old rockers heat up the desert. A special milestone today for Echuca farmer Peter Tripovich, who successfully completed his mission to walk all the way around Australia for charity. The 90-year-old World War II veteran had attempted to complete the trek a decade ago, but had to abandon it when his wife fell ill.
What all this is all about is for the children in other third world countries who are worse off than ourselves.
Peter has so far raised $11,000 for International Children's Care Australia. Warrnambool has an unlikely new radio star, with former Premier Denis Napthine now hosting a local talk show. Dr Napthine says that after nearly 3 decades in Parliament, it's a good way for him to retain a voice on community issues. James Talia has the story.
Midday on Friday on Warrnambool's 3YB, and suddenly a familiar voice hits the airwaves. James Talia, 9 News.
Sir Paul McCartney, Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones are among the rock legends performing at a concert in the Californian desert this weekend. Held in the same venue as Coachella, a festival targeting millennials, Desert Trip has been nicknamed Old Chella for its appeal among more affluent baby boomers. The three-day event features yoga classes, luxury camping and gourmet dining, and repeats next weekend. Well, Justine is with me again, and these winds should be easing soon, Justine?
Yes, they've already started to, Alicia. As the cold front passes through Melbourne, the winds behind it will be cooler westerlies and they won't be as strong, which is certainly good news. I'll have tomorrow's forecast and the 7-day outlook for you next. Good evening, and today's weather was extreme, even by Melbourne standards. The city hasn't seen winds this powerful in more than 8 years. It was quite warm though, reaching 22 degrees this afternoon. A wind gust of 119 kilometres an hour was recorded across Port Phillip Bay. The airport was lashed by winds of more than 100 kilometres an hour, disrupting flights earlier today. There's been widespread power outages and the SES is still fielding calls for help. In fact, the metropolitan area was the hardest hit anywhere in Victoria, with only Mount Hotham recording stronger winds with a gust of 124. Showers are moving in from the southwest and winds will ease behind the front. Still, a severe weather warning for damaging winds is in place right across the state. The strong front that swept across Victoria today will move out across the Tasman tomorrow and will leave behind some very cold air. So we've got some very wintry days ahead, I'm afraid. There'll only be light showers in southern parts of Victoria on Tuesday, but they'll be heavier and more extensive on Wednesday before clearing out to the east on Thursday, and that's when things will start to look up. And it's certainly a mixed bag tomorrow, sunny and 27 in Brisbane, even warmer in Sydney, heading for 32. Showers and the chance of a thunderstorm for Canberra. Hobart is only set to reach 14. With light showers, cool in Adelaide, heading for 16, and there's up to 4 millimetres expected. A sunny 21 for Perth and 35 degrees for Darwin. For Victoria, there'll be scattered showers over southern and mountain districts with isolated thunderstorms, likely in the south in the afternoon, and it'll be cold enough for us to get some hail as well. Winds will be gale force along the coast, but nowhere near as strong as today. Showers will move through the city tonight and they should clear before midnight. And that's when things will start to return to normal. Tomorrow, showers will return in the afternoon with the chance of thunderstorms and even hail later in the evening. In the city, it'll drop to 12 degrees before a top of 17. Then we're in for a couple of days of 15 degrees, so pretty cold for this time of year. We'll get light showers on Tuesday and Wednesday, but it'll be dry on Thursday, and then things will start to pick up. A sunny 20 degrees next Friday, 23 next Saturday, but then it's back down to 19 next Sunday with more showers on the way. So tomorrow we'll see a return to calmer conditions around Melbourne with light showers during the afternoon. It'll be mild overnight, only dipping to 12 before reaching 17. So Alicia, thankfully those conditions are easing now.
Oh, that's great news. All right, Justine, thank you very much. Well, now here's Tara Brown with a preview of tonight's 60 Minutes.
Thanks, Alicia. Tonight, these Aussie uni students were best friends until the day one of them drank a coffee laced with cyanide.
This has changed into a TV drama.
Did Jessica kill her beautiful best friend?
I think she's jealous of Myrna.
Or is she innocent?
Can you explain the cyanide in the drink?
That's tonight after the block. Back to you, Alicia.
And that is 9 News for this Sunday. I hope you have a great evening. For now, good night.